Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is November 27th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, a couple days ago, I showed all of you this, what seemed to be this crazy looking large electrical bolt of lightning or an electrical discharge that was coming from the sun. And I also mentioned that I would be doing a live stream later that evening. It was kind of funny that about 15 minutes after I premiered that video showing all of you what I found on the coronagraph that day, and that was at the end of the 24th going into the 25th of November. Shortly after I ended that premiere, I got a migraine from hell. It actually lasted all of the 25th, all of yesterday, and finally I woke up at about 4 o'clock this morning to get some work done, and thank God the migraine went away. But it was really, really weird. You know, right after I ended that premiere on YouTube showing that info, I had this real loud internal piercing ringing in my right ear, and it was so loud inside of my head, and then instantaneously right behind both of my eyes and on the top of my head, this excruciating migraine. About an hour later, it was literally making me nauseous. I tried to lay down, that didn't work, but anyways, I'm feeling a lot better today, and we're going to review some of this information. Let me pull up the live chat here. YouTube changed the live streaming setup and platform, so it actually took me a few minutes to figure it out how to go live again. They just changed everything around. So let me go ahead and pull up this live chat here. We'll make sure everything's good to go. Okay. Okay, looks good. Just going to say hello in the live chat here real quick. And all of you could hear me pretty good. Fantastic. Let me set this down. Ooh. Almost spilt my coffee. Damn it. Anyway, since we're all discombobulated here this morning, I started to do a lot of background work once again, looking into this electric sun theory. And this electric sun theory, this goes back very, very far. I watched a documentary, which was a seminar. A gentleman by the name of Donald Scott, he has done a lot of studies on the electric universe and the electric sun. This also goes all the way back to a hypothesis formed by Velikovsky. All of the information is right here in front of us. It is very scientific. It is very detailed. Some of it is kind of hard to understand. What I recommend is I'll give you a link to the latest seminar that Mr. Donald Scott put together, and it's from a few years ago, and also this article that you see on your screen right now, the electric universe theory. I've discussed this, many, many times before, and I'll be quite frank. I've had to read this information several times to understand it. Now, one of the big problems in science today, and even going back 10 years, if you're not following the narrative, then you're kind of out of the box. And that happens to scientists all the time. It doesn't matter if they are solar scientists or medical scientists. It seems that if you don't follow the narrative that's out there, the mainstream narrative, then you get sidelined. And I think that's quite pathetic. What happened on the sun at the end of the 24th of November, going into the 25th, folks, look, I mean, you know me. I don't sugarcoat shit and call it candy. I don't know exactly what happened on that day. And we're going to take a look at the video footage again. We'll slow it down. We'll take a look at the still photographs that I've put together. And even though that I've been going through that migraine for 2 straight days, that's all that I was thinking about. I was trying my damnedest to, sit at my computer setup here and do a lot of this reading, even though it felt like my eyeballs were going to pop out of my head. And again, I had to read this information a couple of times. I had to read some of it over and over again, so it is a little hard to understand. It deals with hot plasma. It deals with several different theories. And it is very, very interesting. Thermal dynamics, nuclear dynamics, the dynamics of stars, and so on and so forth. So I think the best thing for all of you to do that are interested in what I captured a few days ago, I think it would be best for all of you not to just simply take my word for it, but to do your own research and do your own reading and, come to your own conclusions and your own thoughts about what you saw in my video the other day. That's pretty much the best way that I could put it. I don't want to push my ideas and push my theories on all of you when it comes to something like this, because I personally am not a professional on this subject matter of the electric universe or the electric sun. And there's a lot of information out there. If you want to learn about it, you can definitely read about it. If you just want to Google the electric universe or the electric sun and Donald Scott, all of the information will come up and you can check it out. But what I'm going to do is for this article right here, because it is pretty complex. There are some links in this article that you can click on, and it will take you to other articles and things of that nature and some other videos. So maybe you have about an hour or 2 hours maybe of some homework. That is your homework assignment. But it is very, very interesting. And again, I'll be quite frank. I don't know exactly what happened on that day. In all my years of watching these coronagraphs, whether it be the stereo coronagraphs or the Soho and Lasco coronagraphs, I've never seen anything like that. I've seen some weird things, but I've never seen anything like that. Never. But this article that you see here, it is pretty in-depth. You guys can definitely check it out, read up on it. Maybe you can take something away from this article that I didn't. So basically what I'm saying is, look, I need some teammates on this. I've discussed it with Dr. Albers. She is a firm believer of the electric universe and the electric sun. And something that a lot of people don't know about is Dr. Albers was working for a short time in a nuclear program at the university. She's actually done a lot of work in that area. And when you start talking about nuclear fusion and stars and things of that nature, look, I'm not a physicist. Some of that stuff goes way and above over my head. I understand the majority of it, but when you start getting down to the real in-depth lingo of the lingo of a deep scientist and a physicist and a nuclear physicist, wow, those people are very, very smart. Years and years of education, 10, 12 years in college and studies. But this article was pretty informative. I'm going to jump out of here, and we're going to jump over to this this video. And let me just go ahead and expand my screen here. I watched this video, and this is Don Scott. He's giving a seminar on this electric sun. And it's 32 minutes long. There are some of them out there, videos that are much longer, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you guys can check them out. This video here was kind of a lower quality because this goes all the way back to 2015. And if you look right here at your quality setting, going all the way back to 2015, the quality of YouTube's streaming and video capability was about 360p. I'm not sure if it went up to 480 yet, but this was recorded in a very low quality. But one thing that struck me immediately, 2 minutes and 21 seconds into this video with Mr. Scott speaking, was if you look at that coronagraph that's in the background. Okay, let me blow this up. So if you look at that coronagraph in the background, what do you see? I know it's kind of blurry, but what do you see right there where my cursor is? Now, some of you that are viewing this on a cell phone may have a little trouble seeing this. I recommend either, maybe re-watching this live stream on a big flat screen TV or your computer. But if you look at this right there, and I was amazed when I started watching this. 2 minutes, 21 seconds into the damn video, and I'm like, holy hell, there are those currents. And if you can't read that word right there, it says Birkeland current. Those are electrical currents coming from the sun. If you try to figure out the distance or the length of that Birkeland current, well, that gets to be a little mind-boggling when you're looking at these coronagraphs, because there's no depth perception. It's very, very hard to even try to guess or measure how long they are. But in reality, right where my cursor is, you can see the current flowing from the sun. That is a coronagraph. I don't know the exact date of that capture that he has on that coronagraph, but it looks identical to what I recorded at the end of November 24th going into the 25th. And again, we'll look at that. I had a few people, leave some harsh comments under my video, which is normal. I'm used to that over the years. And they claimed that it was, I forget how the comment went, but It was something and something hitting the tiny 4 centimeter detector on the spacecraft, the space probe, the coronagraph, blah, 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 blah. Look, I've been studying these coronagraphs for years and years and years and years. I have seen and gone through all of the changes and the upgrades, the software upgrades that they've done. And I am going to be honest, like I always am. I never, ever saw anything like that coming out of the sun. I've seen plasma discharges. I've seen, coronal mass ejections, X flares, coronal prominences. I've seen it all. Maybe even a UFO or two zipping around, as they say. But I've never seen anything like what we saw on the 24th. What causes it? What prompted that to happen? Well, it was a little mysterious because a few days before, right about that time, is when this Planet X object starts to make its way downward, upward past the ecliptic. And we saw a small coronal mass ejection, which was recorded on the CME tracker. We got a visual of this object again in its normal 28-day orbit. And then, once again, the SEEDS website that I use to monitor daily these coronagraphs. Once again, during this time of month, they let us see it one time. And then, ever since that day, all of the data, it's not showing up again. This is happening every single month at the same time. This has been going on for, probably almost a year now. Mark over at the Blue Kool-Aid channel, he started noticing it. He talks about it all the time. We've talked about it all the time. I'll show you again today that ever since that day, the data is not showing up. Now, whether they are cleaning it up or what, I don't know. But it's very unusual that it does not show up. That just kind of adds more credence to what I'm talking about. So this is telltale proof right here. When this man Donald Scott was doing this seminar and talking about the electrical sun and talking about massive electrical plasma discharges coming from the sun, right there on that coronagraph on that big screen during this seminar, he is literally showing you that current. Now, I wish I had the date for this coronagraph photograph that he is showing. There's no date showing on it. It's cropped out. But this was very interesting. I'll leave the link to that article, and I'll leave the link to this video in the comment section. Okay, as soon as I'm finished, I'll pin it to the top. That way you guys can go back and you can watch this video and you could read that information about the electrical sun. What kind of bothers me, and I'm going to go ahead and dip out of here real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up this video. Oops. Do. You know what? I'm actually going to slow this down a little bit so we can check it out. Do. We'll start it over from the beginning. So this will go kind of slow. And when I first saw this, I said to myself, what the hell was that? Because the coronagraph, when you first pull it up, it's set to a higher speed. It's going to be going through, anywhere from 80 to 140 frames, and it goes by very quick. So I caught it out of the corner of my eye, and I said, what the hell was that? And I went back, slowed it down, and I looked at it, and I said, holy hell. And in the background, you see that little white sphere passing by. That was Venus. I don't think Venus had anything to do with what we're looking at here. Some people said that, they left a few comments, said, oh, that was nothing. Look, if that's all that you've got in your comment, that was nothing, see you later, man. You don't know what you're talking about. But I want to show you guys something right here. I'm glad I stopped it right where I wanted it to. Some people said, oh, that doesn't seem to be coming from the sun. How do you figure? It is coming directly from the sun. It is my hypothesis that we probably don't see this as often as we should. This is probably happening twice a month. As this object comes up and passes the ecliptic and gets at its closest point to the sun, this probably occurs. Maybe we just don't see it. And then at the end of the month, when this object is coming downward, grazing past the sun at approximately 600,000 miles from the sun, passing downward through the ecliptic, this might happen again. So it's almost to me like static electricity. When you rub your feet on a carpet and you touch something metallic, you get that shock. Well, that's kind of not the same thing, but I'm just saying, you can get that static electricity. So if we're talking about two stellar objects, our sun, which has a very, very strong magnetic field, and this Planet X object, which no doubtedly has a very strong magnetic field. There's just no doubt, folks. We see all of the effects on our magnetic field. I watch it every day. But here's the deal. These anomalies that we're seeing on the magnetic field, the magnetopause and magnetosphere models, these very, very strange impacts and fluctuations, they're happening twice a month. Yeah. If you go back in time, and if you don't believe me, they're happening twice a month. Twice a month meaning, as this object comes up, gets close to the sun, creates the disturbance, a week and a half to 2 weeks later, starts making its way back downward. We have the same fluctuations. And if you've noticed, right around the same time, twice a month, we have this barrage of earthquakes. And it just played itself out 7 days ago. And the earth is still rocking because this object is not far enough away from the sun just yet. It has not gone far enough below the ecliptic to stop interfering with the sun. So once it drops below the ecliptic and then it starts making its way back up, that is past the end of the month. And then, as it makes its way back up, within that 13 to 14 days, around the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th of the month, it is now coming back up. It is getting very, very close to the sun. And then what do we see? We see all of the impacts and the anomalies on the magnetosphere. Okay? And then we see the influx of volcanic activity and earthquake activity. There is no other answer. The timeline, I've been working and studying this timeline for years now. I thought maybe I was wrong, but I'm not. The data, the physical data, is proving it. It's proving it. Twice a month, the Earth is going through catastrophic changes. Sooner or later, there's a very high possibility that I guess we could have some really, really, really bad things happen. Most of that will probably be in the lines of mega earthquakes, especially where points are pretty weak. All around the Ring of Fire, but I would say more so on the eastern end of the Ring of Fire, which would encompass the Cascadia and Juan de Fuca faults along the western edge of the United States, Mexico, Central America, and South America. We've seen very, very catastrophic earthquakes, such as the one in Chile that killed tens of thousands of people. That would be also the earthquake that Carlos Munoz Ferrara predicted, and he got it right, but people still died. The other weak point would be the South Pacific, possibly near New Zealand and the areas of Indonesia. Japan is not out of that equation also. And we've seen what has happened before with devastating earthquakes in Japan. And we saw what happened in Sumatra years back when 250,000 people lost their lives because of a very strong earthquake underground in the ocean, on the ocean floor, sent that tsunami crashing into Sumatra and killing 250,000 people. We're already seeing what's playing out in California with wildfires. Hundreds of thousands of people leaving California. Seismic activity picking up heavily in the southern end of the state. Also along the San Andreas Fault. I'm not talking little mini quakes of 1 and 2 magnitudes. If you study it, you'll see the tempo is picking up. Same thing along the western coast of Mexico. It just seems like a matter of time, folks. Borrowed time. Probably sooner than later, it's going to happen. Yeah, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what it is. I don't know what else to say, you know. I could only warn people so much, but with all of the censorship on the social media platforms, it's literally impossible. I mean, that's why I ask all of you to share these videos, maybe start talking about it a little bit more on your social media outlets, maybe informing people a lot more. But this education process takes years, folks. I know whenever a lot of you start talking about this, that maybe your friends and your family members think that you're crazy, but there is going to come a day where they change their minds. But anyways, getting back to this coronagraph and this electrical discharge. If you follow my cursor right here, you can see below and behind that black circle, which is the occulter. The occulter is an internal black disc. It's meant to block the sun, so the exposure to the camera is able to pick up coronal mass ejections, solar flares, filaments, and in this case, one hell of an electrical discharge of some kind. I don't think that is the normal plasma discharge that we see. The plasma discharges are normally more fluid, whereas this just looked like a straight out electrical bolt of lightning. But as you can see right here, you can clearly see that is directly coming from the sun. It's not coming from out, away from the sun. It is coming from the sun and reaching out. And if you study electricity and you study lightning and things of that nature, like a lightning rod on the top of a building. The reason why the lightning rod is placed on top of the building is to attract and absorb lightning strikes to protect the building. So, let's just say hypothetically that our Planet X object was moving by. It creates this attraction, draws plasma from the sun in the form of a coronal mass ejection, which we saw just a few days before this occurrence. And just like a lightning rod, it attracted or possibly even instigated this huge electrical discharge. I'm going to go ahead and let this play. So there's a very high possibility of that happening also. So one way or another, at the end of the 24th of November, going into the beginning of the 25th of November, this was occurring on our sun. A few people commented and said, my God, what would happen if that was Earth facing? Because this was not Earth facing. This was taken from the stereo core 2 coronagraph, which if I am the Earth and we're facing this way straight into my monitor, the stereo spacecraft is off to our left at an angle, and the cameras face the sun. So that's why you're seeing that little ball way in the back. That is Jupiter. And if you look at the stereo website, you can click on a link that says, "Where is stereo?" And it will give you a little map, an inner map of our solar system. It will show you where stereo A and B is. It will show you where the sun is. It will show you where the Earth is and the inner planets. And bingo, that right back there would be Venus. I was trying to work on judging how much of an outreach this electrical discharge went. That's what I've been racking my brain with. Folks, that could be hundreds of thousands of miles. It could possibly be several million miles. We don't see what happens outside of the view of the camera. That is what is disturbing, because that electrical discharge could have possibly traveled tens of millions of miles. We're 93 million miles from the sun. Could an electrical discharge like that travel that far? That's a good question. If this would have happened Earth facing, and that bolt of lightning or a huge electrical plasma discharge, whatever you want to call it, would it have made its way to Earth? And what the hell would have happened to us? I don't know. I mean, I could tell you this much. If any satellites, spacecraft, International Space Station, if they were anywhere in the vicinity of something like that, I would have to say that they would be completely annihilated and destroyed within a blink of an eye. Because we're only looking at this on a video. The sun is 865,000 miles in diameter. Let me repeat that. The sun is 865,000 miles in diameter. What do you think the odds of that massive bolt of electrical plasma hitting the space station or satellites, spacecraft, or the Earth? What do you think would happen? You see the size of that bolt? I couldn't even imagine. And it seems to look like Venus is passing through it. But again, because of the depth perception of these coronagraphs, Venus is probably, that's probably like about 58 or 60 some million miles away. And it kind of looks like it's way there in the back and not really affiliated with what's happening on the sun at that time. That would be something to see, though, wouldn't it? Venus taking a strike from some massive plasma bolt of electricity from the sun. What the hell would it do to Venus? Is there a possibility that maybe sometime in the past that little Mercury got itself in the way of one of these electrical discharges? Maybe there's a possibility at some time in the very far past that Mars got whacked with one of these discharges, because you guys have all seen that big gigantic scar on Mars, and they say Mars had an atmosphere at one point in time. If you've ever seen a lightning bolt strike the ground and the mark that it leaves, I was looking at photographs of of Mars a few days ago, and that kind of looks like something hit Mars. Not an impact like an asteroid or a meteor, but something else. Possibly what we're seeing on our screen. So if that was the case, and that's what happened to Mars, then we can pretty well judge what would happen to the Earth if we got in the way of what we're seeing on our screen right now. I don't know what that would do to our atmosphere. It could probably, that's probably so hot. That would be millions and millions of degrees, and that would probably evaporate our atmosphere in a split second. And, there's your doomsday. And that would be, that'd be the definition of doomsday for all of us. There would be no survival from anything like that. So, folks, when I investigate this and I research this, I get a lot of criticism and I get a lot of derogatory comments, and people say this and people say that. And they make stupid videos about me or about Dr. Albers. The only people that they're hurting are themselves. Because the fact of the matter is, all of the evidence is there. It has been mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting over the years. I've shown everybody. It's not a game. We see what's happening. What bugs me also is once again these politicians screaming about climate change. And we only have 8, 9, or 10 years left. Well, that kind of coincides with this solar minimum that we have just plunged into. Over the course of this last year, we've seen the massive flooding, and that is continuing to occur. Excuse me. That is continuing to occur all over the world. Just over the last couple of days, some parts in the Middle East and in Italy. Venice almost destroyed by rising sea levels and flooding. Different parts of southern Italy, the Calabria and Reggio regions, floods. I mean, just it's insane. We all saw what happened this past spring in the Midwest of the United States, and also in parts of the Northeast and Northeast parts of Canada. Folks, that was just a mild taste of what's in store. So, when people tell you that, oh, you're crazy, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. You can prove it. Each and every day that goes by, each and every one of us, we're living it. We're seeing it. A few months ago, right at the end of August going into September, I talked about what was potentially going to happen to Australia. I got so many derogatory comments, threats, horrible emails, terrible inbox messages, people telling me I didn't know what I was talking about. But I warned everybody the year before about what was about to happen in Australia. Oh, it gets hot down there all the time. Oh, really? Last year they broke records. This year they broke records. And the country was on fire. Yeah. Oh, it's all normal. But really, is it? Of course it's not. I study the weather systems. I study the weather patterns for the entire world every single day. I could come on here to YouTube every day and give a 1-hour weather report for the entire world. Would people listen to me? Some would, some wouldn't. Right now, across the United States, we have 3 major storm systems, A, B, and C, all being caused by the erratic jet stream again. And folks, that's going to get worse. Woo! That is going to be a carbon copy, a ditto picture of what transpired last year. Same pattern, but it's going to be worse. And each and every year that goes by, it's going to get worse. I had somebody inbox me, I think it was yesterday, and I posted something on Facebook about the current weather situation and these 3 patterns that we're setting up. This lady told me, she goes, I already got 4 feet of snow. 4 feet. Not a few inches. Yeah. So the same dynamics are going to be setting up for this winter. Some people will get hit pretty hard. Some folks will be on the mild end of the way the jet stream pattern is looping up across the United States. Same thing applies for Europe and the rest of the world. These are not normal circumstances, folks. You all know it. Even the troll babies that like to deny it, that like to make fun of you, that make idiots out of themselves, they know it. They know it. We all know it. My allergies are killing me. The only thing I could say, folks, is there is no doubt in my mind that what we're seeing here playing on the screen was definitely some form of a massive electrical plasma discharge. I still have more work to do, maybe trying to identify this. More work to do on educating myself on this topic, because it is a big, broad topic. I'm going to jump out of here real quick now that all of you are hypnotized with that damn video. What did I want to show you guys? There was something I wanted to show you. Oh. The Seeds website. Remember I was telling you that right at that time of the month when we're able to make that capture of this object passing up past the ecliptic, they shut this damn site down, so we get no information. You see all these areas in gray from the 20th, 21st, 22nd? No data. None. Zero. Yeah. That's every single month. Right at this time, between this time frame that you see right here, this is usually about the time that we can catch this object. And then there's a higher possibility that we're able to get a clearer view, an extended view. And what happens? They block it. They block it all out, all the way to the end of the month. And at the end of the month, when this object is coming downward past the sun, breaking the plane of the ecliptic, creating a disturbance like a CME, which lights this bad boy up, and we can see it, they block it. How is that is that a coincidence? How is that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Huh. It's been like this for over a year. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Now, we can pan down here, and this data for the Secchi beacon, which is the stereo spacecraft, the one that's off to the left of the Earth and far out, that gets a side view of the sun. That's okay. That's there. And this is where I picked it up. Right there. You see the bolt of lightning. We'll slow it down to 4 frames per second. You can see it on the difference model right here. It was not picked up on the other model. It was picked up right there. You can see it clear as a bell. Matter of fact, for any of you that can't see real good, you can take a good look at it. Let me just slow it down one more frame. 2 more frames. Yeah, that was pretty spectacular. And again, I've never seen anything like that before. Still puzzling. You know, when I first saw this and I recorded it, I don't know, man, I think over 2 hours went by and I kept watching it over and over and over and over again. I kept saying to myself, what in the hell is that? So that was on the 24th. Then, on the 25th, it extended into the 25th. Let me slow this down. So not only did we capture it on the 24th, it went into the 25th. And there, it looked like it even held its pattern. Watch it, you'll see it. Right there. And there on the 25th, it actually looks broader and kind of arcs over, like it was reaching for something, like lightning does when it has something that's attracting it, like a lightning rod on top of a building. That's why they're there. In some of the information that scientist Mr. Don Scott was going over in some of those articles and that video in that seminar, he was talking about the magnetic fields of the sun, the magnetic fields of other stars, and their interactions together. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And like the one bozo that left the comment, oh, that was nothing but a tiny little particle hitting the 4-centimeter detector on the spacecraft. Okay. Okay, buddy. We'll take your word for it. Yeah, right. I think we know what we're looking at, folks. I think I know, and I think all of you know what we're looking at. That's crazy. That is just, whew. I don't even know what to say. That's unusual whenever I'm speechless, isn't it? You know, what are the odds of this happening and the Earth being in the wrong place at the wrong time? What are the odds on that? I don't know. But it's scary, I can tell you that much. But nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Wonder why? I would expect to see a report about this on at least one of the NASA websites. I would expect maybe one of the other prominent YouTube scientists to talk about it. But maybe all of these big-wig YouTube scientists, maybe they really don't do their homework. Maybe they really don't monitor things like I do. Maybe they don't spend the time to do the work. Maybe all they do is a 5 or 6 minute video and tell you every single morning that everything is calm, that there's nothing wrong. It's all good. But yet, everything that we see happening to our planet says different. And that starts to get me a little hyper. Because we are seeing the madness on this planet. We are living it. And if you deny that, then you have to be some kind of a lunatic. Or you're living in a cave. Maybe you don't care about humanity. Maybe you don't care about your own personal existence. I do. I want to continue to live on my planet. I want to get old and gray and wrinkled up like the rest of them, and then die and go on my merry way to another life. I'm not looking to get taken out by a massive volcano or the earth cracking open and swallowing me, destroying my house, killing tens of thousands of people, floods, destroying everything, wiping out neighborhoods and villages and towns and killing people. I would rather live in a nice, calm, normal life. But folks, that's no longer reality. And if you think it is, you're crazy. I'll just tell you straight to your face, you're nuts. Just think, since 2016, look how many near-Earth objects have skimmed past the Earth. Huge ones. Asteroids, meteors. Look at the meteors that we're now catching all around the world. One just blew through Missouri on the 11th of November. They're everywhere now. Asteroids, meteors are mainly metallic, made of metal. What would pull those objects out of their floating orbits and put them on different courses, Oh, did you say a strong magnetic field? Did I hear somebody say that? Oh, you're correct. So, in that aspect, once again, we're living on borrowed time. Hoping and praying that if there is an impact, it's a small one, and it's not in a major city. Or right off the coast of a major city where it creates a massive tsunami. What would be worse? You know, the impact in a city or the impact in the ocean that sends a 100-foot wall of water crashing in and wiping everything out. People think that this type of research that I do, which is real, some call it, oh, it's fake. Oh, okay. I give it all I got, folks. I wish I could stand in a stadium of 75,000 people with a big, gigantic jumbotron and show the evidence. It's sad. It keeps me up at night. I mean, I only sleep 4 hours a day, period. I wish I had more answers and more of a solution, but there is no solution other than to gain the knowledge, learn and understand, and possibly prepare yourself in some way, in some form, whatever you feel is right. Whatever the hell that was, doesn't look good. And what I'm worried about is that happening more often than we are actually allowed to see? See, they already know that I caught that. They already know that I showed that to all of you. So they're not going to go delete it. It's there. It's out there. But you guys need to do your part, and you need to share the video, share the live streams, maybe type something in, and maybe you'll start to attract people, and you could have conversations on social media about what you viewed, and maybe even about what your thoughts are. And maybe you could wake a few more people up. Because I know I do my damnedest. I mean, I know I'm not on YouTube every single day like I used to be. But, you know, I have other obligations. But trust me, the first thing I do at 3 o'clock in the morning, or, you know, between 3 and 4 a.m. when I get up every day, 7 days a week, is I am tracking this damn object. I am looking at everything, no pun intended, under the sun. And if I see something or I detect something, I try to warn everybody. Does everybody listen to me? Hell no. And then when I warn people about impending earthquakes because of what's occurring, or I warn people about the potential weather situations, such as what I said about what was going to be happening to Australia, people told me I was a kook. I didn't know what I was talking about. I warned people for 2 months before all of that happened in Australia, and it's not over. I warned everybody 2 months ago and last month about our weather changes here in the United States. Are people going to listen to me? Oh, it's just winter time, Scott. It snows all the time. Oh, okay. Okay. You woke up and you had 4 feet of snow. Oh, okay. That's all normal, buddy. Okay. You're the rocket scientist. I'm not. I don't mean to be so blunt, folks, but it is what it is. And I don't know what to make of this. It is a very scary looking situation there on the sun during that time frame at the end of the 24th going into the 25th. And if you look at the digital clock at the top, and if I played the other video, I caught it at the end of the 24th going into the 25th. I blended both together, so it was kind of a continual video. I didn't delete any time. So what was occurring wasn't just a flashpoint and then it was done. This happened for hours. Hours. It wasn't just a little blink. There wasn't just one bolt of lightning, or whatever you want to call it. This went on for hours. Whew. I'm wondering if by chance you were able to see this. I doubt it because of the glare and the brightness of the sun. Like from the International Space Station, it's so damn bright when they're out there zipping around the Earth and the sun comes up. Maybe you could have seen it. Maybe it was some kind of a huge flash. There are investigative researchers that have talked about a solar flash. David Wilcock has talked about it. Major Ed Dames has talked about it. And not only these modern day guys, but civilizations in the past have all talked about it. They've actually documented it. Whew. That's a lot of information to take in this early in the morning. But it is what it is. If any of you have any other ideas on what we're seeing, hey, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. You can hit me up on Facebook, inbox me with your idea or maybe something that you found. But I think this definitely deserves a lot more of all of our time. And it definitely threw me through a loop, folks. I mean, it still has. It's been several days, and I'm, even with that massive migraine that I had, I could only see out of one eye. But, I kept on watching this video, kept on trying to read more and more and more. But this information about the electric sun and the electric universe, look, these theories, these hypotheses have been around for a long period of time. Maybe, just maybe, I'm the first one to record it publicly and show it to all of you publicly. I'm sure the boys in blue at NASA and the other space agencies around the world, maybe they've seen this before and they haven't said anything about it. Because what would you say? What would you do? Would you actually go and show this to the public and say, oh, look at the pretty lightning bolts coming out of the sun? people would freak the hell out. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why they've destroyed my YouTube channel, destroyed my reach to people on Twitter and Facebook. They know who I am. They know what I'm showing you. And if we could get a little team effort out of all of you folks by sharing the videos, talking about the videos that you share on social media. Hey, look, if you want to, you can. If not, hey, no big deal. But like I've said before, and I'll say it again, we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what part of the earth that you live on. We're all on this bright blue ball together. If I go down, you're going down. If something happens to us on this planet. Let's hope that it doesn't. But things are going to change drastically. They're going to be very, very different for all of us that are in our 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, what we remember. For all of the younger people that are just growing up, kids, teenagers, people in their early 20s, even late 20s, they look at the sky, they see a white sun. To them, the sun's always been white. They look at the chemtrailed skies, and they think that that's normal. That's normal to them. But it's not normal to us that are in our 40s and our 50s and 60s and 70s. We know what the sky looked like. And the sun sure as hell wasn't white, was it? And there will be some that dispute that. They could dispute things all they want. It's not going to change the present day. And it sure as hell isn't going to change the future. I wish I had a crystal ball so I can tell all of you what we are in store for. I could only do my homework on a daily basis and watch things very, very carefully and put my beautiful mind to work and divulge what I see. And I'm very happy, grateful that I caught what I did. Maybe happy isn't the right word to use. Yeah, it's definitely not the right word to use, is it? Astounded. Why? Because this is just more evidence. This is just another piece of this puzzle. No doubt about it. But anyways, folks, I'm going to jump out of here now. And I'm going to get some other work done. I have a ton of political work to do. And I'm going to get jumping on that right now. I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very, very happy Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. Enjoy the time with your families. Enjoy the time with your kids, your loved ones. Yeah. Enjoy that time. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. Stay tuned to Planet X News. And remember, try to help me out. Do your part if you want to by sharing the articles from Planet X News. Share the posts from our group and the Planet X News Facebook page. Most importantly, share these videos, share these live streams, talk about it. On Facebook, they even have that Facebook Watch where you can kind of create your own little video session where people can watch and chat and converse together. If you have the time to do it, it'd be a big help. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Watch your weather very, very carefully across the United States over the next 72 hours. Things are going to get very, very dicey. Be very careful in your travels over the holiday. Once again, have a great Thanksgiving. Take care, folks. God bless.